You guys, I've been holding this story for about 2 weeks because every time I tried to make a video, I got so scared. And it's just a very creepy, crazy, horrible, gut-wrenching story. This woman, her name is Audie Sanchez, and you will never ever forget what she did. So I'm reading from 97.9 The Beat, and I think this is in Dallas, Fort Worth. Audie Sanchez, she ate parts of her baby, you guys. He was only 3 weeks old. And listen to this horrible story. July 2009, when police called to the scene, said it was the most gruesome they had ever witnessed. Officers found 3-week-old Scott Wesley Sanchez Buchholz lifeless inside a bedroom at the home in the 300 block of Wayside. The newborn's mother, Audie Sanchez, told police she killed, decapitated, and mutilated the baby boy. Bexar County District Court Judge Raymond Angelini found Sanchez not guilty by reason of insanity as part of an agreement with prosecutors. Sanchez waived her right to a jury trial, and defense attorneys entered the insanity plea on her behalf. Judge Angelini then took less than 5 minutes to make his decision to accept the plea. This is what she did, you guys. Audie told authorities the devil made her mutilate and dismember her newborn. Did you hear that, you guys? She said the devil made her do it. Well, that's true, right? Scott Wesley Buchholz Sanchez was 3 weeks old when authorities who received a frantic 911 call from the boy's aunt arrived to find his mutilated body and Sanchez wailing the devil made her do it. On the call, Sanchez can be heard screaming, "I didn't mean to do it. He told me to," while her sister pleads for an ambulance. This was probably one of the most horrendous cases that we have seen as far as the murder of a child, said County District Attorney Susan Reed. Sanchez was charged with capital murder and was found competent to stand trial. But Reed said after 3 examinations by separate doctors determined she was legally insane when she killed her son, the court had no choice but to accept the plea. She was committed until the court decided, well, she's still committed, I think. They have to decide that she's no longer a threat. You guys, this woman had I guess you call it a samurai sword. So she took the sword, she took his head off, she ate parts of his body, she peeled his skin off, she disemboweled him. You know how you see the people who hunt, like hunters? She did that to her child. Like, I think she really was possessed. Audie Sanchez confessed to killing Scott Wesley Buchholz Sanchez on Sunday, that was in 2009, you guys, with a steak knife and 2 swords. Before mutilating the corpse and eating parts, she ate his brain, his nose, and his toes, police said. She was charged with capital murder and was under 24-hour observation because they put her under observation because when she snapped out of it, she realized what she'd done and she tried to take her own life. And you know the father of the baby? Well, he was raising hell for them to give her the death penalty. And I mean, seriously, I don't blame him. She took his child, a 3-week-old baby. But the thing about it is, you guys, this woman had gone to the hospital a week before she did this, and she was begging for help. She said she was hearing voices telling her to do bad things, and she was sent home. And she did this to her child after continuing to hear those voices. So her family says that she was a sweet person. And let me quote, "She was a sweet person and I still love her, but she needs to pay the ultimate price for what she has done." This is Scott Buchholz, the father, who said that. She needs to be put to death for what she has done. Can you understand what he was feeling? I mean, I understand it. Sanchez's relatives, however, are hoping authorities, and this is an old case, so we know what happened. She was sent to an insane asylum, and she will be there until the court deems her, or whoever deems her, safe. But the thing about this is, you guys, she had a history of mental illness. She had a history of schizophrenia. And she also had something called postpartum psychosis, where, I mean, they say that it is very, very rare. But do you guys remember Andrea Yates when she drowned her 5 children in a bathtub? She also was diagnosed with postpartum psychosis. And both of these women killed their children. "It's just tragic and unbelievable what happened," said Garcia, Sanchez's first cousin, who considers her a sister. "She was a good, hard-working person, but she had been diagnosed with schizophrenia last year." The crime happened in Sanchez's mother's home in the 300 block of Wayside Drive sometime between 1:30 and 4:30 a.m. When officers arrived about 5 a.m. to find baby Scotty mutilated, Sanchez quickly confessed to the macabre crime, police said. She was hysterical, screaming, "I killed my baby, I killed my baby," said Police Chief William McManus. Child Protective Services officials said that Sanchez had never been investigated by the agency prior to the killing. The agency on Monday, that was way back in 2009, you guys, was at the home investigating conditions because Sanchez's sister's children, ages 5 and 7, also lived there. Police said the sister, the 2 children, and Sanchez's mother were in the home at the time of the slaying. The adult women had each taken turns caring for baby Scotty at night so they could sleep in shifts. Sanchez's shift began at 1:30 p.m. Her sister discovered the baby's body around 4:30 a.m. and called police around 5 a.m. So you guys, I think they made a mistake and put p.m. for 1:30, but I think it's a.m. because earlier it said something about a.m. 1:30 a.m. The crime scene was so disturbing that the San Antonio Police Department has provided counseling services for some officers who entered the home. Normally, you don't see a scene of this magnitude in terms of the atrocity, McManus said. When you do, it certainly leaves a lasting impression. Sanchez told detectives that she was hearing voices and the devil made her kill the baby boy she had given birth to June 30th. The Bexar County District Attorney's Office will soon review, well, they reviewed it already, and we know that she was charged and she went to an insane asylum. So, what do you guys think about this? I mean, she and Andrea Yates were both from Texas. She was in San Antonio. Andrea Yates was in Houston. What's going on, Texas? And this is a quote from someone who worked on the case. She said, or he said, that the scary thing is that the delusions are usually always about the baby. She said, in all of the high profile cases, the thinking involves the babies. The mother had to kill the baby to protect it, or God has spoken to the mother and there is a mission to kill the baby, or sometimes the baby is the devil who needs to be gotten rid of to save the world, she said. That's scary, you guys. Did you hear that? I have chills running down my spine because, I mean, that is pure evil. I keep telling you guys, what do I keep saying on my videos? That evil is increasing in the world and we have to be careful. We have to know how to call on the Lord Jesus Christ to protect us because it's bad out here. This was in 2009 and things are so bad and scary. Relatives said Sanchez's mental health had severely deteriorated in the week before baby Scotty's death. On July 20th, she moved out of the home she was living at with the baby and his father near Windcrest and on the northeast side. That same day, she checked herself into a hospital after hearing voices, but she soon checked herself out. According to a source familiar with the investigation, but unauthorized to speak to the media. She then took the baby to stay at her mother's home in the 300 block of Wayside Drive. Buchholz called her every day to convince her to return to their home, to no avail. We were all trying to get her to come back, said Buchholz's best friend Matthew Mayer. She wouldn't answer her phone. She finally reappeared about 2 p.m. Saturday at Buchholz's parents' home on the northeast side. We were so happy to see Scotty again, said his father. She was at the home for about 15 minutes when Buchholz told Sanchez that he needed a copy of baby Scotty's birth certificate and social security card. The request seemed to set her off, Buchholz said. She grabbed the baby and just said, I gotta go, I'm out of here. The mother ran out of the home with Scotty in a car seat. She left behind the baby's diaper bag and her purse, along with her medication. Buchholz said Sanchez threw the child's car seat with Scotty inside into the front passenger area of her car and sped away without buckling Scotty into the vehicle's front seat. His mother called 911 and a sheriff's deputy arrived to investigate the incident as a disturbance, court records show. Later on Saturday night, while Buchholz was attending the Judas Priest concert, he received a cell phone call from Sanchez. She told me she had found someone else and she never wanted to see me again, he said. Police think she killed the baby about 6 hours later. Sanchez and Buchholz met in 2003 while they were enrolled at the San Antonio College of Medical and Dental Assistants. The couple's volatile relationship was on and off for the past 6 years, but they became dedicated to making it work after learning she was pregnant, relatives said. She took really good care of herself during the pregnancy, said Buchholz, who also has been diagnosed with schizophrenia. We were excited about having a baby, so they both had schizophrenia. But Sanchez's mental health deteriorated soon after the child's birth. Her recovery was complicated by an infection which required the use of a catheter for a week. Irritability progressed to a darker psychological state, and a postpartum depression diagnosis soon followed. She kept telling me she needed to see a counselor all the time, Buchholz said. During the pregnancy and first 2 weeks after baby Scott's birth, the couple lived together in a rented house on the Northeast Side. The couple paid for the residence with the monthly disability checks and her job as an in-home healthcare provider for senior citizens. She worked until about 2 weeks before she gave birth. So he was getting a disability check and she was working. That's what it seems like, because her family said she always worked hard. She worked until about 2 weeks before she gave birth. Acquaintances described Sanchez and her mother as devout Jehovah's Witnesses. They would come up to our door every so often, but I told them I was Catholic, so they left, said Elaine Couchin. Buchholz's mother, Kathleen, said she had no idea that Sanchez had been diagnosed with the same mental illness her son had. She thought that baby Scotty was the best thing that could have happened to the troubled couple. She's not sure what should happen to the baby's mother. Well, we know what happened, right? Because it's years and years later. I have mixed emotions, she said. She needs to stay under psychiatric care. I love her. She was like a daughter. I don't want her out at this point, but that may change. And this was the grandmother, the father's mother, who said this. So this is crazy, you guys. And just scary. So this was released a few years after, and this is from 97.9 The Box. It says that the mental evaluation submitted by lawyers in the case of 33-year-old Audie Sanchez paint a picture of a woman beaten, molested, touched by someone when she was little, and diagnosed with various forms of psychosis, and in and out of hospitals for half of a decade before she killed her infant son. The court documents obtained by KENS 5 were completed by 3 separate doctors who each evaluated Sanchez to determine her competency. Doctors Randall Sellers and Lucy Puryear conducted the interviews with Audie Sanchez in the weeks that followed the death of 3-week-old Scott Wesley Buchholz Sanchez. In the interviews, Sanchez details using drugs for the first time in 2006. She says it was at that time that she first began to hear voices. Drug use led her to Austin, where she attempted to track down a former boyfriend named Victor. While in Austin, she was admitted to the Austin State Hospital. Doctors at the hospital diagnosed her with psychosis. However, she was issued a prescription and released. On June 20th, 2008, Ms. Sanchez was seen at the Center for Healthcare Services in San Antonio. Court documents indicate that she was paranoid, mildly delusional, depressed, and psychotic with hallucinations. Her medication was changed. While on the medication, the voices in Sanchez's head went away, but unable to afford the cost of the medication, Sanchez stopped taking the psychotropic medication. Shortly going off the meds, Sanchez became pregnant. During her pregnancy, she was sent to a counselor for depression. However, she did not want to go on any medication. After the birth of baby Scott, Audie Sanchez slipped into further depression and the voices began to return. On July 20th, 2009, Ms. Sanchez was taken by EMS to Metropolitan Methodist Hospital. According to the report by Dr. Sellers, Audie Sanchez had auditory and visual hallucinations as well as delusions. Sanchez indicated that she needed to be hospitalized. However, she was discharged to her sister. And you see, this is completely different than the reports that first came out, that when she went to the hospital that she signed herself out. But in this report from the court documents, it says that she said she needed to be hospitalized, but she was discharged into her sister's care. In the days leading up to the death of baby Scott, Sanchez says she was paranoid, fearing that people were spying on her and plotting to take her baby from her. Her paranoia became worse when the voices began to get worse. For days, Sanchez says the voices told her that the devil was in her son. She would avoid looking into his eyes for fear of seeing the devil. Through the course of her evaluation by Dr. Sellers, Sanchez elaborated on the circumstances surrounding the death of baby Scott and what the voices were saying. According to Sanchez, the voices told her that her mother had killed President John F. Kennedy and Marilyn Monroe, and that the KKK was mad at her mother for killing JFK. In Sanchez's interview with Dr. Prier, she says, "The voices told me to hurt Scotty. He was going to be the apocalypse." Further on in the interview, Sanchez explains the decision to kill her son, saying, "The voices told me to eat his insides. I was a harlot because I had committed adultery. There was a demon in my stomach. The demons would come out of her stomach if she ate Scotty. This had to be done by 5 in the morning. Scotty would evolve and he would no longer be possessed." Sanchez says the act of eating her child made her gag and throw up, but the voices told her to eat again. You guys, I am freaking out in here because this is my first time reading this specific article. We're reading it together. I am alone. I have chills running down up and down my spine, and I'm gonna need to put all the lights on in my house. No kidding. Like, this is creeping me out. Seriously. Oh my goodness. My goodness. After her arrest for the death of Scotty, Audie Sanchez was taken to University Hospital, where she continued to hear the voices, this time telling her that she was going to get a heart transplant and that she was going to be hurt. Both Doctors Sellers and Puryear concluded after their evaluations that Audie Sanchez was suffering from mental illness. In her report, Dr. Puryear wrote, "It is my medical opinion that Miss Audie Sanchez was incapable of telling the difference reality and her delusions." Dr. Sellers echoed similar comments, writing, "It is my opinion, based upon reasonable medical evidence, that Miss Sanchez had a severe mental illness, paranoid schizophrenia, at the time of the alleged crime." On Thursday, that was back in 2009, you guys, Audie Sanchez was found not guilty by reason of insanity. She will be sent to a state mental institution in Vernon, where she will receive a yearly evaluation of her mental capacity by the court. You guys, this is when you look at the baby's photos, doesn't it break your heart? It breaks my heart for her too, because she literally had to, something was in that woman that made her eat her child. I don't know how someone can live after that. She has to think about that every day of her life. And that's a sad situation because she really did not know what she was doing. Anyway, you guys, I'm going to get up from here now and go turn the lights on because I'm sitting here with my computer and my cell phone and I'm freaked out. I'm turning the lights on. And now you know why I sat on this story for so long and just couldn't bring myself, not just because it's so scary and creepy, but because it's heartbreaking, seriously heartbreaking for everyone involved. Rest in peace, baby Scotty. He's in God's hands now.